And thank you for joining us. We are really excited about what has been built here with the Oregon Network for Serious Illness Support. It also is exceptional in that it's unique. We may be the only state that has a tool, an online tool like this. So we just want to kind of create as many opportunities for understanding and learning so people get what this is about and how to use it, how to talk about it, etc. So I think on the call here today, we have a combination of trained end-of-life doulas, people who've been trained by Peaceful Presence, and then maybe community health workers who have gone through our palliative care education course. So just to say, you with this training are already part of this broader ecosystem of community-based care. We also want to recognize that you are all doing different things with this training, with this end-of-life care training. And the really cool thing about all of this is that there is no kind of one size fits all approach with this work. It's a really good thing. And right, we recognize that across Oregon, that support for serious illness and dying and grief is greatly fragmented, right? And that individuals and families often don't know where resources exist or maybe even what they need, when they're already in the midst of a crisis. And then even when supports are available, it can be hard to find and access, right? So we recognize there's this gap between kind of the medical systems and then community-based care. And people are falling into these gaps all the time, especially with Oregon being so rural, 26 of our 36 counties being considered rural. There's a lot of people that don't know what direction to look in terms of resources. So one of the core challenges that we're really trying to address with ONSIS, as we call it, is just to create this one-stop resource where people can land and from there be able to find out about care options in their county, right? And so this network is designed to be infrastructure for connection, really. It's this statewide community-based network and directory that helps people make the support more visible and more accessible and really more coordinated. And so in a lot of ways, it's designed to be a bridge between medical and non-medical care, and having the medical providers know about community-based care, that this is available in many of our counties across Oregon, and a bridge between people who need support and people like all of you, hopefully, who are offering it, right? So where are those points of connection where we can all find one another? So instead of people really navigating, end-of-life experiences or serious illness or grief alone, kind of in these fragmented referral pathways, which are oftentimes very siloed, we're really attempting to create this more coordinated ecosystem where support's easier to find and more fluid. And so I just want to say, that in your role as end-of-life doulas, whatever that looks like, however that work is playing out for you, or community health workers, you're really core to this network and bringing it alive and actually having it be this robust site where people can really come to find resources. And then it's truly community centered. Erin and I were on a call with one of the funders of this Oregon Network for Serious Illness Support and their trustees. And the executive director of this foundation, highlighted community-based care is really the wave of the future. As we continue to see, these challenges within systems, too many people that need care, drops in funding, and again, this kind of continued fragmentation, that we have to be really creative and innovative to bring community to the center of things. And so that is really what this tool is designed to be. And so this call really, we've sent out the invitation, but again, this is an invitation to be a part of this and then to know how to talk about it. You are all kind of the ambassadors of this network in a lot of ways to make people aware of the fact that this is something in our state. So that's kind of the high level just overview of this. This has been a work in progress for us as a nonprofit for multiple years, for the last 3 years or so, kind of growing resources within the state and then envisioning the emergence of this online tool that actually is user-friendly and hopefully will be used by a lot of people. So I think I'll hand it over to Erin, who will do a screen share and can kind of walk through, if you haven't already been on the site, just kind of walk people through the different elements of the tool and how you might use it or how external users might kind of access services. So Erin, I'll hand it to you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. If we haven't met, I'm Erin, and I'm the Director of Programs. And I also wanted to say that what Elizabeth was saying about this being for connection, we're also doing a lot of work to not only for folks like you who are probably here to see what it means to be a member of the directory, but also spreading the word to providers across the state. I'll be talking to Oregon Health and Science University in a couple of weeks, their palliative care program grand rounds. So those are all providers who might see people from your communities up at OHSU, and then they're sending their patients back to their where they live. And hopefully, they will now know about this and be able to look at the county where that patient lives and say, "Oh, look, great! There's somebody who can support and help navigate." And it's not that you have to be a professional navigator or a professional expert, but somebody in the community who's willing to say, "Yes, I can help you find some resources." So I'm going to share this screen and head on over to the network. So this is what the landing page looks like: onsis.org, onsis.org. This is the home page. It has just a little bit of information about peaceful presence, and then it goes right down to finding support. So if you are helping someone navigate or somebody is seeking support in the community, they would go here. They can search by map, and this they can click. It's a clickable map for the counties. And we'll go to Deschutes because we know we have a lot of members in Deschutes County. And then you can scroll down. So a lot of people come on, and if they're willing to provide virtual support or they regularly provide virtual support, they may have selected all the counties in the whole state. Other people will choose to focus on their geographical region. And so this is what that looks like when you click in. And then if you wanted to see a little bit more about Elizabeth, it's got a bio. That if you have a website, you can put a website, and it highlights the services that you provide in your community. I'll quickly say also that it's really important to us that people who are wanting support, they get that support quickly. In our experience, people have gone to various directories and maybe not heard back from anyone. And when somebody's in a crisis, it's really important that they at least hear from someone, whether it means that they can't help, that they're not providing services. So there's a way for people who are seeking support, if they haven't heard back from someone, they can click here to tell us that they haven't heard. And so what happens is this comes to us at the Peaceful Presence Project, and then we follow up and try to connect them with somebody else if we can, or try to provide support and reconnect them. So I'll go back home. And there's also filters. So a person can come on here and search for um, based on the service that they're seeking. There's a whole lot of list here. You can see end of life support has 13 different categories, etc. Um, the other thing that we have done is if you're supporting someone, you can print the page. So if you're in a specific county, you can print a list of the people who are available. So on any of the filtered pages, you can actually print that out so someone can have the printed page. That's the directory and how to get in touch. And then I just wanted to show everybody, if you're interested in joining, you go up here to the directory and click apply. And this is how you become a member. And Carrie's going to talk a little bit more about these details in just a moment, but this is where you apply. It walks you through all the steps and everything that's needed. There is, financial component, which Carrie will talk about, but this is where you fill it all in, the counties you serve, the services you provide. You upload insurance, background check, a photo, any other information. And then you will also be guided through that. So you submit that and you'll be guided through the next steps by Sarah. Let me see if there's anything else we want to tour around. The member login, once you're a member, is there. And then finally, here on the top, this resources. these are statewide resources. So these are organizations that support folks across the state, or maybe directories of additional things like this is our end of life friendly rural Oregon map. This provides a map of services beyond just individual providers. The Oregon Hospice and Palliative Care Association, all the organizations that are licensed in the state. End of Life Choices Oregon for support with medical aid in dying. The Oregon Whole Body Donation Program. We've found that we get a lot more requests for that recently, so we wanted that to be available. And then Oregon Funeral Resources and Education. So those are statewide resources that are available. So I am going to stop my screen share and I'm going to just briefly introduce Sarah Frayne to come off and say hello, because when you apply to the directory, Sarah is who receives and processes your application and who you'll be speaking with. Sarah.
Thank you, Erin. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, as Erin mentioned, if there are any questions along the way through the application process, any questions you may have that bubble up after reviewing the website, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be the person on the other end of the line responding. And again, if you do have any questions along the way, feel free to send an email to info@thepeacefulpresenceproject.org, and I'll be happy to assist you. Thanks.
And we'll take Carrie, you take it away to explain some of the details before some questions.
Thank you all so much for spending your lunch half hour with us this afternoon. So as Erin mentioned on the walkthrough on the website itself, it will be helpful for you to have a few things prepared before you go to apply. So the first thing that we are asking you to have available is proof of your current liability insurance. And I'm just going to pop into the chat box here one option that has end-of-life doula specific insurance and end-of-life care support insurance is called CMF Group. And it generally runs about $150 a year for end-of-life doula insurance. So that is one option that you can utilize if you do not currently already have end-of-life insurance. In addition, we ask that everyone has a recent background check. And if you do not have a recent background check, we have a account set up through called BIB Background Check. And I just popped in the website link there as well. The cost to you is $20 and the request can be completed online. And that is just through the Peaceful Presence Project as part of the BIB Background Check organization. And so you can go ahead and request a current background check if that's something that is not currently available to you. In addition to the liability insurance and the background check, we ask you to have a professional bio ready, as well as a clear headshot and photo. The membership fee for the organization is $25, but we do want to make it very clear to anyone that if the cost of the membership fee or the cost of securing liability insurance or the background check is financially burdensome for you, that we do have financial assistance available. So as Sarah said, for any questions, please reach out to us directly at info@thepeacefulpresenceproject.org. And you can also send us an email if you need financial assistance for either the membership fee or the insurance or the background check. Please start a conversation with us. We are here. We want to grow this network and we want to make sure that financial burden is not something that is inhibiting you from joining the network. So with that, that is all of the nuts and bolts information we wanted to share with all of you today. So we would love to open it up for questions. Feel free to use the chat box. We are a smaller group today, so you also are welcome to use the hand raise function if there are some questions that we can answer for you about the Oregon statewide network.
Thanks, Carrie. And I just wanted to quickly say the two links that she shared in the chat, when you go to the apply button and you're scrolling through, those links are also available right on the website when you are applying. So if you lose those or you didn't and you don't capture those today, you can go to that apply button and scroll down, and the insurance link and the background check link are there. And then I also wanted to just explain why those are requirements. This statewide network, we wanted it to be a network of people who were vetted in a way so that folks who are seeking support feel really safe and confident when they're reaching out to folks who are on the network, that we're all here in good faith and that we're all here with good intentions, and that they're people that we're all people on this network who are safe to be in a person's home. So that was just a little thing I wanted to say about why. And again, to really differentiate from some other national directories that may exist, that just providing a little more security and safety and trust for the people who might be seeking support. Carrie, I'll let you facilitate the question.
I'll just note too, Carrie, we had 3 or 4 people just join us here in the last 3 minutes or so. We just gave an overview of kind of the what and why around the network. Erin gave a tour of the site, and then Carrie was just going into some of the kind of required elements and the financial assistance options. We are going to send this recording out to all of the people that were invited to this call. So if you feel like you missed some things by just joining, you'll get a recording from the earlier conversation.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So I see our first question is from Jen in the chat box. She's wondering if there's a service to offer that isn't in the drop-down menu, could it be added? So for example, she's in homeopathy school and would like to offer palliative homeopathy services if it's appropriate. Erin or Elizabeth, you want to take that?
We could look into what it would take to add. You could also just have that highlighted in your bio. So I would, just even say that in the name or in the title so that people might find it. There's a way to search for keywords. So if you were to put that in your bio and then somebody was searching for palliative homeopathy, then then your bio would pop up. I think just thinking about the broad range of services that could be there, that could make the drop down menu pretty significant. So I would think that maybe a really good way would be put it in your bio, and then when somebody searches for that keyword, it would pop up right away.
Thank you, Erin. I see our next question here is from Chris about, for purposes of defining what serious illness is Alzheimer's included?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we are considering, a pretty broad definition of what's included in serious illness. And we know that Alzheimer's can definitely be one of those diagnoses or illnesses that can be, especially isolating for people. A question of what sort of community-based care is available, especially in terms of caregivers and who lives or works within the community that could help individuals to think about, what other resources might be tapping into, what is the plan now or into the future, what sort of care considerations, are we kind of looking down the pipeline at, et cetera. So yeah, serious illness, definitely things like Parkinson's, ALS, Alzheimer's, anything really that, requires, if you've got a skill set that allows you to come alongside of and support individuals in this ongoing experience with illness, it would totally apply. And kind of even widening it out, we're finding right now that, as doulas, it doesn't fall within the serious illness kind of category, but experiences of death by suicide or perinatal child loss, death by abortion, et cetera. All of these things are categories where doulas are also, kind of stepping into communities to support. So when you think about, how you are showing up in community and what different populations you're making yourself available to, we want to use as broad of definition as possible in terms of, kind of community-based support.
Thank you.
Hope that makes sense.
Our next question here says, are hospice services or end-of-life doulas able to serve someone in a nursing home facility?
Yes, um, absolutely. Especially so, for one, if there is hospice services available in your community, then hospice will provide care wherever a person calls home. So that includes nursing home facilities, and the same in the same way, an end of life doula who's providing support in the community supports someone wherever they call home, and so are definitely able to provide support in a nursing home facility with the patient's permission, obviously, and then with clear, transparent communication with that facility as well.
So again, we'd love to open it up to any other questions you have specifically around the Oregon statewide network, or around any questions around financial assistance or services as you've been offering.
I have a question that diverges just a little bit. I have my end of life doula certification, but I work in overdose prevention and response. So I deal with sudden deaths, which often need a great deal of support really rapidly. And I'm so grateful for my end of life doula training to be able to help me, accommodate folks when these events occur, unfortunately. I'm wondering, is there any thoughts on sort of expanding or working with prevention or overdose response specialists for the purpose of responding for families who are suddenly kind of scrambling to come up with some of these resources versus folks going through like a long-term illness that have time to kind of go through the extended grieving process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. I love what you just said there about, the doula training really feeding into the exceptional work that you do on the daily. Um, I think that's one of the considerations for us, is the different demographics that would benefit from end of life doula kind of intervention or involvement. For the sake of today's call, I think we'd say, we want, if you are serving in a doula capacity, let's get you on the site and you can talk about, the different kind of prevention targeted services or outreach you're doing. And then I think that, as a team, we'd love to kind of continue to explore that with you and take it offline. Really, what our goal with this is to, as an organization, to do a lot of outreach and awareness building with different organizations. I see a question here from Chris in the chat box about would it be appropriate to share about the network with your hospice organization. Absolutely. We want all, hospices, palliative care providers, public health departments, clinics, federally qualified health centers, prevention organizations. I mean, everybody in Oregon to know that this is a resource that exists, and to really get as many of us as possible listed on the network so that there is a robustness of services available across the state. And with an emphasis on especially those rural communities, like we said, that there are people in every single county in this state that are available at this community-based level. And like we said, what that looks like could look like a lot of different things. So maybe, Jesse, we can follow up directly with you and get some other additional insights about kind of prevention outreach and who else in the state should know about the work you do and how this network could also serve as a resource.
Yeah, and I just want to respond as well to say that, again, like I said to Jen about kind of a specialty, I think it's really important when you come on the website and you create your bio to really have those keywords about your specialty in your bio, because that way, if somebody is seeking specific support, that's the best way for them to find that specific support. So and if you need help with that, you can reach out to us if you want us to kind of review the bio and see how we could make sure that we're getting some good keywords, because we can also work with the web developer to make sure that the search finds those keywords and finds that specific support. Just like Veronica just said, she'd love to connect regarding end of life doulas with respect to disaster response and crisis. So great, Veronica. Put yourself, when you put on there, if that's your specialty, say, disaster response or grief, disaster related grief support. So anything like that that's a specialty, get that in the bio, and then we can make sure that people know to search for specific needs. And we're not on the 211info.org website, but we will certainly look that up.
And to that point too, I would say if anybody, on this call is deeply embedded within different networks or circles, mutual aid groups, organizations that you feel like, hey, I'd love my team to know more about, the use of this network, and or I'd love to help be part of some of the education and outreach, reach out to us directly. The info@thepeacefulpresenceproject.org email is the best one to use. This launch is going to be sort of multi-phased. We're really right now focused on making sure that everyone who's trained with us and is interested and or doing this community-based work knows about this and can start building your profiles and getting on the network. And then from there, it really is this piece of building, more scaffolding around this to make sure that this is, again, a tool in Oregon that's utilized with frequency, and a site that people, like I said, a one-stop resource that people can go to. So reach out if you've got ideas or thoughts, or hey, I'd love to connect you with this group. Know we are in that scaffolding building phase, and we're very much open to that networking about the network.